Welcome back, Alaska and Pacific Northwest conferences. This is a special occasion as our two conferences meet together in session really for the first time. For many years, there's been talk about making Alaska part of Pacific Northwest, or actually the conversation started with the General Board of Global Ministries saying, we can't really give the level of support and undergirding to the U.S. missionary conferences, of which Alaska is one of 3. And so the General Board of Global Ministries brought to Alaska the idea that it needed to be transformed. There would be no longer eventually any missionary conferences in the United States with the support of the board. So, as I commended Alaska in their conference yesterday, they have planned for their future in a timely, intentional, consultative, gradual manner over many years. And so this session marks another significant step toward a new relationship. And as part of this step, I've asked Carlo Rapanut to preside over this shared session. On July 1st, Carlo will become my executive assistant for the whole greater Northwest area to share the work of the Episcopal Office during this intense transition period that we anticipate and wait for and live in, and in the relationship between Alaska and the Pacific Northwest. Now, you all already know Carlo, but I'm pleased to invite him to lead this conversation and this time together between these two conferences. So Carlo, please, take the president's role.
Thank you, Bishop Elaine. Thank you for your trust that you have shared with me at this time. And friends, I covet your prayers as I assume this presider's role during this time. So a couple of comments and remarks to further frame how we gather in this space. Imagine this: if we, the initial vision of coming together for this shared session was that we would be in Puyallup, we would be in separate rooms gathered in our separate annual conference sessions, and then we would take a break and process into a common space together. So picture that in your mind and live into that space where we're walking together and we're finding our places together in this new space and in this new relationship that we are together. So this session, while it is a session, is not legislative in nature, it is collegial. And we are celebrating something new. And so I invite us to enter into this space in that spirit. In February 2022, the Alaska Conference, in a special session, acted to petition the General and Western Jurisdictional Conferences to, one, dissolve the missionary conference status of the Alaska Conference, and to petition Western Jurisdictional Conference to redraw the boundaries of the Western jurisdiction so that Alaska would be included within the boundaries of the Pacific Northwest Conference. The pandemic happened, and the postponements have allowed us time to do the transition well and to do it right. It has allowed us to discern a deeper why, rooted in an ever-growing understanding of our complicity in the abuse and colonization of our Native siblings in Alaska. It is in this spirit that we invite you, our siblings in the Pacific Northwest, to enter into this transition. Yesterday in our session, separate Alaska Conference session, we acted on a petition saying, we will live into this transition. Not with concrete plans, but with values, with a set of values that state our understanding of our deeper why. And that is the invitation that we have sent to you all in the Pacific Northwest Conference. If you would accept that as the terms, if you may, the values in which we would enter into this liminal space together. And so, as we move with this session, I'm going to call on our colleague Shirley Delarme, who is the annual conference secretary of the Pacific Northwest, and the Reverend Karen Yokota Love, to share with us the action that the Pacific Northwest Conference took on this petition from your colleagues in Alaska. Karen and Shirley?
Thank you. Karen will respond for us.
Hi, I'm Reverend Karen Yokota Love. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I speak to you from Seattle, Washington, as I serve Blaine Memorial United Methodist Church. On Monday, I had the privilege of chairing the Connecting for Missions domestic focus session. And during that time, we spent 2 hours in holy conversation. During that time, we discussed 2 petitions, which were 17 and 18. And in this report, I'd like to speak briefly about petition 17, which was the Alaska United Methodist Conference, an invitation to live into a mission district. We discussed the petition and voted on this during our focus session, and it made the consent calendar. And yesterday, on Tuesday, our conference body voted fervently to have the Alaska Conference become a mission district in the Pacific Northwest Conference. We are so grateful to be able to officially share in this fruitful work, and it's very exciting. Both the Pacific Northwest and Alaska United Methodist Conferences support the same values in our planning, in our process, and the proposals of living into having Alaska as a mission district of the Pacific Northwest. Here in the PNW, we look forward to immediately advancing the necessary actions of the General and Western Jurisdictional Conferences. And finally, I just want to speak a little bit about petition 18, which addressed the vision of the creation of a cross-conference vitality commission, which we voted on, which will comprise of no more than 12 persons with no less than 70% representing historically marginalized people, particularly Black, Indigenous people of color, and the LGBTQ plus communities. The creation of this one committee will pool our diverse and rich resources together from the Pacific Northwest, the Oregon, Idaho, and the Alaska conferences. Since we're already doing this work together closely and we're doing fruitful work, it's a natural process and it's an added bonus to be able to have this cross-conference vitality commission. This committee will oversee the Innovation Vitality team, which works together in revitalizing existing ministries and growing new ministries. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for the team that I worked with, and welcome Alaska to the Pacific Northwest Conference. We're so excited to have you.
Salamat, Karen. Thank you. And now to respond from Alaska, or on behalf of Alaska, actually, I want to turn to my colleague, Reverend Lisa Talbot, who is the chair of the leadership team for Alaska and is also a clergy member of the Pacific Northwest Conference. Lisa?
Thank you, Pastor Carlo. I am Lisa Talbot. I serve the community and church of Homer, Alaska, and I am a grateful long-term visitor to the land of the Sugpiaq and Dena'ina peoples. The leadership team, the Mission District Task Force, and the people of the Alaska United Methodist Conference are grateful that you have accepted our invitation to live into Mission District status in a decolonized way, respecting our values and our contextual knowledge. This is not the end of this process. This is just the beginning. And we look forward to working collaboratively with you as we imagine together the liberated future to which God is calling us. We already have some strong points of connection between our conferences, like the Board of Ordained Ministries, the Greater Northwest Area Cabinet, the Innovation and Vitality Team, Financial Services, the Communications Team, and Disaster Response. We are grateful for these mutually enriching relationships, and we look forward to working with you more closely in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And friends, it is easy when an action like this is done. It is easy to jump into. So, how do we operationalize this? What are the plans that need to be in place? There is a phrase that I learned from my brother, who is an architect: form follows function, or I would say, in our case, form follows our deep why. And so, as Lisa said, this is not the end. This is the beginning. As we enter into this transition together, and ground ourselves in the values, in the common values that we have agreed on, we will find ourselves often going back to these values as we build plans, as we talk about how we would combine our structures, how we would create new structures together, and move forward in the future together. So now, for our first sacred act together as this shared community of faith, let us together listen to our bishop and cabinet read the appointments of the clergy for the coming year.
So every year, one of the jobs that we have during annual conference is to fix the appointments. I hope that these appointments don't need any fixing and that all we have to do is read them aloud and celebrate them. We turn now to the Alaska United Methodist Conference, which is technically a missionary conference in the United Methodist Church and doesn't have its own clergy members. So the clergy that we'll appoint today come from a variety of places and a variety of denominations as well. And it really is a kind of an ingathering, melting pot of leaders. It's a pretty exciting place to be. So I'm going to begin by saying that the conference superintendent in Alaska is Carlo Rapanute. And Carlo, it's great to see you today. But we're mixing up our staffing a little bit this year. And Carlo is also moving into Greater Northwest Assistant to the Bishop role during this transitional time in the life of our church, and will in that role be serving all three conferences of the Greater Northwest. So Carlo, God bless you as you make this transition, and thank you for saying yes to an adventure that's a little bit ill-defined at this point.
Thank you, Bishop. And it is a pleasure and my honor to serve in this liminal time and in that liminal space with you.
So, in addition to that staff mix-up, we're also, I would like to announce that the new Director of Connectional Ministries, which Carlo has been for the last period of time, we're shifting that, and Lisa Talbot is moving into the Director of Connectional Ministries role. So with that, Carlo, let's make the appointments.
We'll start with the Anchorage Mission Field. Anchorage Korean.
Wanje Kum.
Anchor Park.
Ken Hagler.
Anchorage First.
Steve Fisher.
Jewel Lake Parish.
Luke Jones.
Every Nation.
Murray Crooks.
Ola Tue Fuataina, Samoan Fellowship.
Fa'atafa Fulumua.
St. John.
Andy Bartell.
St. John Associates.
Emily Carroll and Autumn Kruger.
Turnagain.
Robert Smith.
Moving north to the Chugiak Eagle River Mission Field, Chugiak.
James Jim Depkin.
Fairbanks First.
Robert Bob Jones.
Girdwood Chapel.
Nico Rains.
Homer.
Lisa Talbot,
Going to the southeast, the Panhandle, Aldersgate,
Karen Dahman,
Douglas Community,
Karen Dahman,
Northern Light United,
Faith McClellan,
Northern Light United Associate.
Christy McGuire,
Going to the Kenai Peninsula, Kenai,
April Hall,
North Star,
April Hall,
Ketchikan First,
David Owsley,
St. Peter the Fisherman,
Darla Bradley,
Nome Community,
Bertha Kowilek,
Seward Memorial,
Lucas Boomsma,
Moose Pass,
Lucas Boomsma,
Sitka,
Benny Grace Nabua,
Soldotna,
Karen Martin Titchener,
Unalaska,
Matt Reinders,
Christ First,
Daniel Wilcox,
Palmer Fellowship,
Daniel Wilcox,
Willow,
Christina Dowling Soka,
Willow Co-Pastor.
Joe D. Dowling Soka,
We move now to our deaconesses.
Kelly Marcialis,
ELCA Community Organizing and the Organizing for Mission Network.
Maria Sylvia Capizio Crooks,
Every Nation UMC and the Office of Deaconess and Home Missioner.
That completes the appointments for the Alaska Conference and prayers for this transition into new roles, Carlo, and deep gratitude. I want to give you my deep gratitude for being willing to make this transition.
Thank you, Bishop.
We turn now to the Crest to Coast Missional District, Kathleen Weber, District Superintendent. And Kathleen, you have led through a very trying year. I hope you're surviving, glad you've signed on for another year, and God bless you in the way that we take in the year ahead.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to serve again.
Let's appoint these pastors.
All right. Aberdeen First, a lay-led congregation. Battleground,
Susan Bogley,
Bay Center, a lay-led congregation. Bonnie Lake Foothills,
Jeffrey Mullenix,
Camas,
Don Shipley,
Castle Rock, to be supplied. Central Park,
Shirley Jan Brim,
Centralia,
Evangeline Vanjie Rand,
Chehalis,
Zach Taylor,
Eatonville,
Bernard Preston Ritchie,
Elma,
Pam Brokaw,
Fern Prairie,
Leslie Moreno,
Grays River, a lay-led congregation. Hoquiam, a lay-led congregation. Kalama,
Dean Anderson,
Kelso First,
Vonda McFadden,
Lakewood,
Cheryl Wunsch,
Little Rock, District Superintendent assigned, Lori Sardinia. Longview,
Allison Maddox,
Montesano,
Pam Brokaw,
Morton, a lay-led congregation. Oakville, a lay-led congregation. Ocean Park,
Denise Westphal Neuschwander,
Ocean Shores,
Betty Chamberlain,
Ording,
Alexa Eisenbarth,
PL, District Superintendent assigned, Ron Grant. Puyallup,
Kara Scriven,
Puyallup Associate.
Melinda Giese,
Puyallup, Light of the Hill.
Melissa Ramming,
Randall.
Dennis A. Degener,
Randall, lay minister, district superintendent assigned, Laverne Cookie Troxel. Ridgefield,
Joanne Shad,
Satsup,
Carrie Bland,
Spanaway, district superintendent assigned, Samara Jenkins. Stevenson, district superintendent assigned, Karen Ashley. South Sound United Methodist Cooperative. Olympia First,
Peter Perry,
Olympia First Associate,
Amanda Nicole,
Olympia First Associate,
Sandy Ward,
Lacey St. Andrews,
Denise Roberts,
Steamboat Island Church,
Heather Sparkman,
Tumwater,
Sandy Ward,
Tumwater Lay Minister, District Superintendent assigned, Kathy Raymond. Rochester, District Superintendent assigned, Jesse McKenzie. Shelton,
Ann Locke,
Sumner,
Dion Corsius,
Vader Grace.
Stephen A. Caskey,
Vancouver First,
Bruce Smith,
Vancouver Mill Plain,
Sue Ostrom,
Vancouver Orchards,
Jesse Connor,
Vancouver Salmon Creek,
John Heastand,
Vancouver, Vancouver Heights, District Superintendent assigned, Byron Harris. Vancouver, Vancouver Heights, Associate Pastor First Tongan Fellowship.
Sione Malua,
Washougal,
Leslie Moreno,
White Salmon,
Kendra Bain Smith,
Willapa,
Carrie Bland,
Wenlock,
Tara Roberts,
Yelm.
Douglas Thomason. That completes the appointments in your district in Crest to Coast. And pray blessings on you, Kathleen, in the year ahead and on all that serve with you.
Thank you very much.
Inland Missional District, District Superintendent Daniel Miranda. Daniel, this is the moment when you transition into your new position. I'm so grateful that you agreed to step into this role, and pray blessings on you as we learn to work together in the cabinet.
Thank you.
Let's appoint some pastors.
All right, let's begin with Anatone, District Superintendent assigned, Dallas Dodd. Asotin, District Superintendent assigned, Steve Kazda. Bonners Ferry, Idaho, District Superintendent assigned, Lee Books. Cheney,
Alyssa Birch,
Cheney Associate.
Pat Sleeth,
Clarkston,
Cody Stauffer,
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho Community.
Heather Seaman,
Coeur d'Alene Community Multi-Site.
Steve Michael,
Colfax, the District Superintendent assigned, Ed McBride. Colville Community.
Dave McHugh,
Davenport Edwall.
Jung-hee Kim Preble,
Deer Park.
Ron Baird,
Elmore.
Catherine Lyle,
Grangeville, Idaho.
Luann Howard,
Green Bluff, District Superintendent assigned, Helen Dunlap. Harrington, District Superintendent assigned, Randy Behrens. La Crosse,
David Wells,
Lapway, Idaho, a red-led congregation. Lewiston, First, Idaho.
Cody Stauffer,
Lewiston Orchards, Idaho.
Mike Lawson,
Moscow First, Idaho.
Kim Poole,
Nez Perce, Idaho, District Superintendent assigned, Dennis Long. Orofino Peck Cavendish.
Henry C. Hank Heschley,
Pomeroy, a led congregation. Pullman, Simpson,
Leslie McGowan,
Reardon, District Superintendent assigned, Larry Anderson. Ritzville Trinity,
Ella Dedeaux,
Rockford,
Lori Clark Strait,
St. John, District Superintendent assigned, Brian Brown and Frank Watson. Sandpoint, Idaho.
Jodine Romaine Stout,
Spokane, Audubon Park.
Jeffrey Helton,
Spokane Associate.
Glenn Kennedy,
Spokane Creator State.
Katie Shudlock,
Spokane Covenant.
Megan Madsen,
And Spokane Lay Minister District Superintendent assigned, Sharon Arnold. Spokane Fowler.
Renee Devantier,
Spokane Highland Park.
Katie Shedlock,
Spokane Liberty Park.
Deborah L. Conklin,
Spokane Manitou.
Tiffany Detienne,
Spokane Moran.
Cody Natland,
Spokane St. Paul's.
Deborah L. Conklin,
Spokane Valley.
J. Michael Grafe. And now we turn to the Seven Rivers Missional District, still under your care, Daniel.
Let's begin with Benton City to be supplied. Kashmir.
Lilia Felicitas Malana,
Chelan, Lake Chelan.
Karen Fisher,
Concanelli, District Superintendent assigned, John R. Jack Schneider. Connell,
Hubert Rigor,
Dayton First,
Linda Weistanner,
East Wenatchee Trinity,
Julia Price,
Ellensburg,
Austin Adkinson,
Ephrata,
Donald Dunn,
Goldendale,
Joyce O'Connor McGee,
Heartline, the lay-led congregation. Kennewick First,
Mark McMurray,
Kennewick West Highlands,
Ben Moore,
Leavenworth,
Matt Gorman,
Manson,
Michael O'Neill,
Medhow Valley,
Levon Post,
Monitor,
Lilia Felicitas Malana,
Moses Lake,
Conrado Gonzaga,
Okanagan is a lay-led congregation. Homac is District Superintendent assigned, John R. Jack Schneider. Oroville is a lay-led congregation. Pasco, Riverview,
Derek McGuckin,
Pateras,
Levon Post,
Prosser,
William M. Bryan Jr.,
Richland, a Central United Protestant,
John Mars,
Richland Associate,
Sharon Withers,
Royal City,
Leon Alden,
Sila,
Dirk Robinson,
Sunnyside, Momento Nuevo,
Joel Rodriguez,
Walla Walla Pioneer,
Paul Mitchell,
Walla Walla Associate,
Danielle Estelle Ramsey,
Waterville Federated,
Cyrus Githinji,
Wenatchee First,
Debbie Sperry,
White Swan Wilbur Memorial to be supplied. And last we have Yakima, Wesley.
C. Shane Moore.
Bishop, those are all of the appointed leaders for our two districts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We turn now to the Puget Sound Missional District. District Superintendent John Mark Galang. Mark, it's nice to see you today.
It's nice to see you as well, Bishop.
Let's appoint some pastors.
Let's do that. Do you want me to start now, Bishop?
Sure.
Yep. Alan,
Mark P. Johnson,
Anna Cortes,
Richard Fagan,
Arlington United, District Superintendent assigned, David Wells. Bainbridge Island, Seabold.
Cindy Roberts,
Bayview,
Drew Frisbee,
Bellingham Garden Street,
Kathy Hartgraves,
Bothell,
Joe Kim,
Bothell Deacon,
Kristen Joyner,
Bremerton, District Superintendent assigned, Megan Dowling. Brownsville,
Gregory Refner,
Burnaby, BC, First UMC of Canada, multi-site,
Norman Feliciano,
Colby,
Carolyn Bowers,
Cookville,
Lisa Connolly,
Custer,
Carabin Bing Canlis Jr.,
Darrington, District Superintendent assigned, Sandy McCauley. Edmonds,
Jenny Smith,
Edmonds Associate, District Superintendent assigned, Ann Jacob. Everett, La Palabra Viviente,
Jose Pacheco,
Falls City,
Darren Hewson,
Ferndale United,
Joel Osved,
Gig Harbor,
Molly Frazier,
Gig Harbor Associate,
Al Osved,
Issaquah Faith,
Elizabeth Ingram Schindler,
Kingston Redeemer,
Sheila Marie,
Kirkland Lake, Washington,
Rich Lang,
LeConner,
Marcella Baker,
Langley,
Rich Foos,
Linden,
Grace Kabani Mujuri,
Marysville,
Meredith Gudger Rains,
Marysville Associate,
Tanya Spar Pyle,
Marysville New Church Start Better Together,
Kate Kilroy,
Mill Creek Cedar Cross,
James M. Clark,
Monroe,
Malcolm Brown,
Mount Vernon First,
Christopher Gudger Rains,
Mount Vernon First Hispanic Ministry, District Superintendent assigned, Zulma Tifre. Nooksack Indian to be supplied, Oak Harbor,
David Parker,
Port Angeles First,
Ken Macklin,
Port Hadlock Community, District Superintendent assigned, Scott Rosecrans. Port Orchard,
Shirley Delarme,
Port Townsend Trinity,
William Tony Brown,
Redmond,
Laura Bolger,
Sidro-Woolley Central,
Drew Frisbee,
Squim Trinity,
Brad Beeman,
Silverdale,
John Weston,
Snohomish,
Janelle Kurtz,
Snoqualmie,
Lee Carney Hartman,
Stanwood, Justin
White,
Tracyton,
Susan Griggs,
Vashon Island,
Mark Wagner,
Woodinville Burr Creek,
Brooke McBride,
Woodinville Community.
Kim Fields. That completes the appointments in the Puget Sound Missional District. Thank you very much, Mark, and blessings on you and all who are serving in your district this year ahead. We turn now to the Seattle-Tacoma Missional District, SeaTac Missional District. Derek Nakano, Superintendent. Derek, welcome back for another year.
Thank you so much, Bishop. It's an honor to serve on your cabinet and grateful that you'll be with us for another year as well.
Well, and thank you for your service during a trying year for everybody in and outside the church.
Thank you.
Let's appoint these pastors.
Thanks, Bishop. These are the churches and the pastors of the SeaTac Missional District. Auburn First,
Pat Longstroth,
Bellevue Aldersgate,
Wanji Zhou,
Bellevue First,
Philip Antilla,
Bellevue Korean,
Seyung Park,
Bellevue St. Peter's,
Steve Baber,
Burien Highline,
Jennifer Parch,
Burien Evangelist,
Sofia Estevez,
Covington Cornerstone,
Cecilia Comer,
Des Moines,
Pam Osborne,
Federal Way,
DJ Del Rosario,
Federal Way Good Seed Korean,
Joseph Jung,
Federal Way Sunrise,
Jim Mosley,
Fircrest,
Dan Bresnaugh,
Kent,
Jim Head Corliss,
Mercer Island,
John Go,
Renton Fairwood Community,
Ferdinand Yanado,
Renton,
Michelle Campton Steer,
Seattle Beacon,
Jesse Farias,
Seattle Blaine Memorial,
Karen Yakota Love,
Blaine Memorial Associate,
Mia Park,
Seattle Bryn Mawr,
Nathan Holyfield,
Seattle Creative Communities District Superintendent assigned Danielle Elliott, Seattle El Dios Viviente,
Gerardo Guzman,
Seattle First,
Jeremy Smith,
Seattle First Associate,
Yvonne Agdiang,
Seattle First Tongan,
Mausia Folau,
Seattle Grace to be supplied, Seattle Green Lake,
Robert Willie Duell,
Seattle Haller Lake,
Laura Baumgartner,
Seattle Magnolia,
Brad Chamberlain,
Seattle Axon Stage Multicultural Hub, District Superintendent assigned Michelle Lang Raymond, Seattle Queen Anne,
Katie Ladd,
Seattle Sandpoint,
Tom Peterson,
Seattle Seaview,
Sia Puloka,
Seattle South Park Neighborhood Church, District Superintendent assigned Maria Jose Cote Sorens, Seattle Tibbetts,
Sarah Casey,
Seattle Trinity,
Ruth Marston Beal,
Seattle University Temple,
Paul Ortiz,
University Temple Associate,
K. C. Barkley,
Seattle Yesler Neighborhood Project,
Troy Lynn Carr,
Seattle Valley and Mountain,
John Helmier,
Valley and Mountain Associate, District Superintendent assigned Osajifo Uhuru Seku, Seattle Wallingford,
Paul Corner,
Seattle Woodland Park,
Robert Willie Duell,
Shoreline,
Kevin Lee,
Shoreline Ronald,
Kelly Dolman Oath,
Tacoma Bethany to be supplied, Tacoma Browns Point,
Katie Klosterman,
Tacoma First Multicultural Hub,
Shalom Akhtarab,
Tacoma First Korean,
Yongkyu Park,
Tacoma Calaveria,
Michael Seui,
Tacoma Mason,
Thomas Irby,
Tacoma The Bridge, District Superintendent assigned Kelvin Brown, Tukwila Riverton Park,
Jan L. Bowlerjack,
Tukwila Samoan Fellowship,
Chester Aumua,
United Church at University Place.
Kathleen M. Law. That completes the pastoral appointments within the CTAC district. Derek, thank you so much for your service, and God bless you in the year ahead.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop.
We move now to clergy that are appointed to serve outside of local church settings and extend the ministry of the conference in a whole variety of ways and places. And David Valera, will you help me make these appointments?
I would be glad to, Bishop. To those appointed in other annual conferences, Casey Banks,
Newburgh First United Methodist Church, Oregon, Idaho.
Micah Coleman Campbell,
New York Annual Conference.
Ed Denton,
Florida Annual Conference.
Robert Hicks,
Minnesota Annual Conference.
Tori Hicks,
Minnesota.
Andrew Oliver,
Oregon, Idaho.
Jen Stewart,
Oregon, Idaho.
John Wang,
California Pacific.
and those within the connectional structures of United Methodism: Colin Cushman,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
William Gibson,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
Laura Holmes,
Wesley Theological Seminary.
Sheila Miranda,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
Kathy Neary,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
David Nieda,
Northwest United Methodist Foundation.
Jennifer M. Phillips,
United Methodist Committee on Relief, General Board of Global Ministries.
Cruz Edwin Santos,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
Neil Sharp,
Pacific Northwest Annual Conference.
David B. Wright.
University of Puget Sound.
To those appointed to ministries endorsed by the Board of Higher Education and Ministry: James Carter,
Kaiser Permanente.
Genevieve M. Clark,
U.S. Navy.
Dennis A. Degener,
White Pass Family Counseling Services, Randall, Washington.
Terrell L. Gibson,
Pastoral Therapy Associates, Tacoma.
Abigail Henry,
St. Croix Hospice, Omaha.
Melinda Holloway,
Veterans Affairs, Portland Healthcare System.
Kevin Hudson,
U.S. Air Force.
Mary Hike,
Courageous Space Coaching and Consulting.
Scott Claypack,
Virginia Mason Memorial Hospital, Yakima, and Peace of Christ Church, Natchez.
Greg Seeley,
Greg Seeley Coaching and Consulting.
Jerry F. Smith,
Pastoral Therapy Associates, Tacoma.
Pam Vanderdoes,
Tacoma Rescue Mission.
Jana Smith Warden,
Multi-Care Hospice and Home Health.
Michael D. Smith,
Providence Hospital, Everett.
Jeff Wallace,
Resolution Counseling, Spokane.
Dirk Wooten,
Catholic Health Initiative, Franciscan.
Kathleen Yaki,
Renton Counseling Center and City University.
Thomas Yang.
Kaiser Permanente.
To other institutions: Lisa Ishihara,
Seattle Pacific University.
Thomas Telfer,
Church of Scotland.
Angela Woolley.
Providence Health Services, Olympia.
Deacons in full connection appointed beyond the local church: Sonia Davis,
Portland Veteran Affairs Medical Center.
Kristen Ellison Oslin,
Fircrest Regional Habilitation Center, Shoreline.
Mark Haberman,
Aging and Long-Term Care of Eastern Washington.
Mark Hearn,
Church Divinity School of the Pacific.
Joy Martin,
Eschaton Foundation.
Janie Park Hearn,
Seattle University School of Theology and Ministry.
Mary Stanton Nurse.
Samaritan Center of Puget Sound.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, David. And that completes, I believe, the appointments for the Pacific Northwest Annual Conference. And it's amazing to see all the ways in which our clergy are in ministry in the church and beyond the church. God bless you all.
Thank you, Bishop and colleagues, superintendents, and Kuya David Valera, the DCM of the Pacific Northwest Conference. I hope you all enjoyed the virtual annual conference field trip to look at the star in the map where these colleagues have been appointed to was amazing. To just be able to have a sense of where United Methodist Ministry is in the different parts of our Pacific Northwest Conference. The reading of appointments, while it is it feels like more of a clergy concern, for it is a lot of us clergy wait with anticipation for this reading of appointments. In some ways, it makes it official that we are again being sent to the settings, or in the cases of those who are moving, we are being sent to this new appointed place. Growing up and starting ministry in the Philippines, I remember that this day, the reading of appointments was approached by my colleagues and I with a lot of dread, for it was going to be the first time we would hear if we were going to be moved or not. And depending on when the annual conference is going to be held, it was held, we had either 2 months to move or 2 weeks. And so the reading of appointments is extra special for us who are in professional ministry. But it is not just a clergy concern. The fixing of appointments will not be complete if local churches and the laity in local churches and ministry settings would not welcome the clergy, the lay ministers, and the deaconesses to who have been appointed to these settings. And so, on behalf of the laity of the Alaska and Pacific Northwest conferences, I invite Joanne Hayden, annual conference lay leader for Alaska, and Nancy Tam Davis, annual conference lay leader for the Pacific Northwest, to lead us in the litany response.
On behalf of the laity, we welcome and receive these ministry leaders with joy.
We commit to walk and work with you. Let's try that again. We commit to walk and work with you as partners in ministry.
As this day marks a new season for the church, called to serve an ever-changing world,
may God's Holy Spirit bless you as you begin another chapter in your call to ministry. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Bishop, thank you again for the opportunity, the rare opportunity to lead this session this afternoon. And with that, I will yield the chair back to you.
Well, thank you, Carlo. I want to thank you again for stepping into this role. I didn't give you much advance notice, but I didn't give you too many votes or legislation to work on. So we're easing you in slowly. And I want to especially thank both Carlo and Lisa for agreeing to step into their new leadership roles. I mentioned earlier that they're a little bit ill-defined. We're going to work on the definition of how they're going to function in their new roles over the course of the summer. But this is a time of tremendous need and opportunity in our church. And people who step into this significant kind of leadership, and all of you who serve in your local places as laity or as clergy, have a particular opportunity to shape a future for the church that is faithful and fresh and engaged with communities in ways that need to be renewed and expanded. So thank you all. And I'm going to hold my further comments until we're back together with the Oregon-Idaho Conference as well in just a few minutes. So I don't think we have any announcements. We're finished early again. I think almost every session we've had has finished early, hasn't it? Since the very beginning. It's amazing. So I'm going to announce a break, and we'll return at 3:45 to join with the Oregon-Idaho Conference to celebrate the work of all three conferences and to send us on our way in good spirit and good form. I'll see you back then.
We are still live, but what can I do for you? my plan was